Your Majesty at your service. Welcome to Fair King Talks. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of my podcast. Check yourself. When I wallow in self-pity or feel overwhelmed with myself, it is easy to spiral down in my emotions and trigger feelings of anxiety and stress that often result in unhealthy habits. Checking yourself is the art and ability to speak to yourself in third person and allow yourself to step out of your emotions and reality to view your life from a wider perspective. In this episode, I want to talk about contextualizing our realities and understanding our social privileges. It is my hope that in the midst of our life experiences, we are able to put everything into perspective. As we learn to check ourselves with honesty, we will find it easier to make decisions. So if you are familiar with the Maslow hierarchy of needs, you may already know where I'm going with this. So what is the Maslow hierarchy of needs? Maslow hierarchy of needs is a theory of motivation, which states that 5 categories of human needs dictate an individual's behavior. Those needs are physiological needs, safety needs, love and belonging needs, esteem needs, and self-actualization needs. The reason I like this theory is because it illustrates that we as humans need to or want to keep growing. In a world that can sometimes feel like you can do all bad by yourself, this theory presents the idea that we are all social beings, and for us to be the best versions of ourselves, we need to have a sense of community and so forth. Well, this is my interpretation anyway. So we aren't meant to be lone wolves. I'll explain this theory in a bit more detail, and as I talk you through it, think for yourself if you have met these various needs. As you reflect on your current reality versus this theory, you may start to identify what needs you are seeking to fulfill. So Maslow's theory presents his hierarchy of needs in a pyramid shape. So for some people, this is very conspiracy theory, but it's a pyramid with the basic needs at the bottom of the pyramid and more high-level intangible needs at the top. And a person can only move on to addressing the higher level needs when their basic needs are adequately fulfilled. Starting off with physiological needs. So the first of the needs is the lower ones on the Maslow hierarchy of physiological needs. And these are the most basic human survival things like food and water, sufficient rest, clothing and shelter, overall health and reproduction. Maslow states that these basic needs must be addressed before humans move on to the next level. And as much as it can say that is a basic need, it can feel like a lot. Reproduction? I mean, that's a lot of pressure. Anyway, so the next part, he goes on to say safety needs. So next among the lower needs is safety. Safety needs include protection from violence and theft, emotional stability and well-being, health security, and financial security. And I feel like a lot of people are in this safety need as well. The next one is love and belonging needs. This third level of Maslow's hierarchy relates to human interaction and are the last of the so-called lower needs. Among these are friendships and family bonds, the same as parents, siblings, children, and chosen family like spouses and partners. Physical and emotional intimacy, ranging from sexual relationships to intimate emotional bonds, are important to achieving a feeling of elevated kinship. Additionally, memberships in social groups contribute to meeting this need, from belonging to a team of co-workers to forging an identity in a union or a club or, any group or of hobbyists. Then you go to up to the esteem needs. These are the higher needs, beginning with esteem, and are more ego driven needs, basically individualistic. So, the primary elements of esteem are self respect, the belief that you are valuable and deserving of dignity, and self esteem is about confidence in your potential for personal growth and accomplishment. Maslow specifically noted that self esteem can be broken into two types: esteem, which is based on respect and acknowledgement from others, so validation, and esteem, which is based on your own self assessment. Self confidence and independence stem from this latter type of self esteem, and this is kind of the tapping into your greatness bit. Maslow referred to self actualization as a form of growth need, and he separated it from the lower four levels in this hierarchy, which he calls the deficiency needs. And according to his theory, if you fail to meet your deficiency needs, you'll experience harmful and unpleasant results. Conditions could range like illness, starvation, or loneliness and self doubt are basically byproducts of unmet deficiency needs. By contrast, he says that self actualization needs can make you happier, but you are not harmed when these needs go unfulfilled. Thus, self actualization needs only become a priority when the other four foundational needs are met. Self actualization needs are things that fulfill us as a person. So sometimes this can be described as the highest spot on the pyramid. These include things like education, skill development, and redefining of talents in areas such as music, design, cooking, gardening, whatever that may be, caring for others, and broader goals like learning a new language, traveling, and if you are able to, winning awards. Self actualization is what I think that mirrors the highest part of tapping into your own greatness. Similar to the theory, I think tapping into our greatness allows us to fulfill the different parts of our lives. However, I do think that our social privileges determine at what pace we're able to achieve or fulfill our needs. So there are a few theories on social privileges, but in a nutshell, it's all about having an advantage in society because of our social class, age, height, nationality, ability, ethnic or racial category, gender, gender identity, neurology, sexual orientation, and religion. There are those in the world, a few people, that have every bit of privilege. They tick all the privilege boxes, which makes their human experiences in most societies easier. However, all of us possess somewhat of a social privilege. I'd like to think it in this way. I think it's a privilege that personally I'm able to think for myself and make big life decisions like where to study, who to marry, whether to work, or recently a big decision was whether to put or my children into a nursery. Some people don't have a choice, and having a choice is in actuality a privilege. This doesn't make the decision making process any easier, but at least you have options. There are times where I feel overwhelmed with the amount of choices I need to make. But when I really, really think about it, it's a blessing and I'm so thankful. I'd like to challenge you the next time you're faced with a big decision to really put your life and choice in context of these theories. When you are willing to face the privileges you have and are able to see that so many of your needs are met, you will see what you're really worrying about, whether that be money or, lose of control or whatever it may be. You will see what you're really deep down worrying about. Your privilege or sense of entitlement will always reveal itself when you have to make a big life-changing decision. So having my kids go into nursery is not the biggest life decision, but it's a very big decision for me. So, for example, I have the choice of having my girls looked after by my family whilst I'm at work or taking them to a childcare facility. And both choices have pros and cons. And in making my decision, I was not only exposed to my privilege, but also my priorities in life. The more willing you are to check yourself and to look at your life from a different perspective, it's easier to make a decision and you won't worry as much about not making the other decision or the other option you had. So, in my current situation, my children are looked after by family when I'm working, and when I'm not working, I aim to go to play groups and do activities with them so they're still socially interacting with other children their age. And my approach is that I'm flexible and open to change as my needs or my family's availability change. The most important thing is that for now, things are working and I'm always able to adapt myself. So, whatever you are going through, which feels like a big decision to you, try and put it in context to these theories and reflect on it before stressing yourself out. At the end of each episode, I address the queendom. Check yourself before making big decisions. Make sure your basic needs are met. Seeking fulfillment is important in all parts of your life. Context and perspective make all the difference. Thank you so much for listening to Fair Queen Talks. See you next time.